welcome back to the Advancing Healthcare Innovation Show. I am your host, Michael Stamatinos. And if you're new to us, man, we are really excited to have you here. And we're excited to have you because we're having some really awesome conversations with real leaders that are painstakingly shaping the future of healthcare. And we're really passionate. If you haven't seen any of our episodes before, but we're very passionate around healthcare innovation, adoption, leadership, and access. And if it's your first time tuning in, let me just take a step back and share a little about who we are and what we're trying to do. So we are a healthcare innovation company. We're focused on bringing stories of innovation within our space to life. And this is getting down into the weeds of the real people that are really, truly getting stuff done. And what does that look like? The wins, the losses. We want to talk about all of that. So if you haven't had the opportunity to check out any of the historical episodes, make sure you hit the subscribe button now, smash the bell wherever you're at, so that you can get new episodes that come directly to you into your inbox. And as part of our just sort of commitment to keep you updated with the latest and greatest, I'm very excited to introduce our next guest who really embodies the essence of healthcare transformation. So please join me in welcoming Jami Youmans. She's the president and CEO of HealthEco, and she's just an adept entrepreneur. She's an investor and really just sort of a beacon of change within our industry. And HealthEco is an investment and a strategic advisory firm working hand in hand with some of the nation's leading health systems. And really what sets Jami apart, aside from her just impressive professional endeavors, is she's got this innate ability to engage people, to disarm them, and she has an ability to cultivate communities that really drive health advancements forward. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today in terms of the work that she and her team have been doing. And her work really involves just being an integral extension of client teams, offering market analysis and just key insights throughout the life of their kind of portfolios. And she really has been an integral role in helping some of the HealthEco backed companies that are well structured, providing governance, and just setting them on a path for growth and sustainability, and providing great outcomes. Because at the end of the day, she's all about having an unyielding commitment towards enriching the industry by making healthcare more accessible, efficient, and really patient-centered. So Jami, it's really nice to finally have you on the show. It took us long enough, but we are here. We are here. So glad to have you. Welcome.
Can you please introduce me everywhere I go? That was fabulous.
Yeah, what goes through your mind, when some people, we like to really think through how to introduce people. Like what was happening through your mind as I'm sharing about you? Like, who is Jami Youmans? Who do you want the audience to know you as?
Yeah. Well, what was first going through my mind was when we first met. What was it? 5, 7,
This is
9?
a
I
long
don't
time
remember.
ago.
It was a long time ago. Back when I still lived in Chicago. And
That's right.
yeah, and both where we were both in positions of really wanting to surround ourselves with the best people who wanted to drive change for the ultimate outcomes for healthcare, wanted
Yeah.
to help innovators, help health systems, help the broader ecosystem, really make the changes that we saw, that they saw. And it's incredible to see you here too, even on a doing your podcast. I remember even the first time you said, "Hey, I think I might start a podcast." And close to 100 episodes now or something like that at this point.
We're out
Crazy.
there. We're up there. We're hitting some
Yeah.
milestones. So
Yeah.
when you think about your story, maybe share with the audience a little bit about your history, about where you started and your background, being in the provider scene, and then sort of to where you are now in terms of the things that you all are working on.
Yeah. So I have spent my entire professional career in healthcare. I never thought about being in healthcare until my first day in orientation in college, when I had always had these goals of being a college athlete and had finally achieved those goals. And when I showed up my first day, they put me in an orientation class that was not aligned to my professional goals. It happened to be an agriculture and farming cohort. And so having never farmed before, I found it interesting, but I also was deeply aware that I was not in the right space. And so when I was asked to declare my major, the only thing I could think about was healthcare. What else is there to do but be a part of the healthcare system?
Yeah.
And the only way I could do that was to be a doctor. That was my only encounters with the healthcare system as a child, whether it was through illness or through injury. Uh, that was that was my experience. And so not having any family members in the healthcare system, being the first in my family to go to college, this was, this was what I thought made the most sense. So I started my academic career or my academic time frame pursuing a pre-med degree. Got to about my third year and chose to do some internships and some rotations and realized that that physicians actually treated patients. They didn't necessarily always solve the broader business issues of the health system and the inefficiencies and the communication structures and all the things that I felt like were challenging and could easily be fixed if only somebody just cared enough about doing it in my
Yeah.
naive, undergraduate mind. So I fortunately had some friends who introduced me to health administration as a career path. And instead of going to med school, took my first pivot and went to graduate school to study hospital administration, hospital operations, strategy, and the like. In that time frame, got some experience and exposure to medical groups, to community hospitals, to health systems, and the broader approaches. And that led me to an administrative fellowship in Chicago, where I got to see firsthand the challenges of the Affordable Care Act, which led to mergers and acquisitions, and what that represented from an operational integration perspective. The system I had joined had just been acquired by a large multi-region system at the time. Now that's a
Mhm.
national system.
Right.
That gave me an incredible amount of exposure to all of the things that needed to happen for a facility to operate, for a hospital organization to become a system, not just regionally, but as part of something that is national. And got my first hand at looking at what does it take to be a part of a healthcare ecosystem. And Chicago was an incredible place to do that. Over 200 plus professional associations,
Yeah.
large consultants. It's a hub
It
for
totally
not,
is.
yeah, great institutions. It was an incredible place to start a career. So I spent about 5 years with that system, had a number of experiences that really shaped my lens on what it is that we can accomplish and also what is not necessarily possible both today and in the future. Um, and with that, I took my first leap into entrepreneurship, started my first consultancy, looking to take the learnings that I had from all of the experiences and really help innovators and innovations advance into the market, right? Going back to that, if only it was that simple. How can I help innovators and investors and entrepreneurs and the like really bring their solutions into the health systems and not just do it for one, but do it for many? That was about 2015-ish. And that started this journey of creating a platform that ultimately now partners with healthcare organizations, health systems included, in supporting not only both their
Right.
financial health growth, but building the broader ecosystem that will allow for those innovations and those growth strategies to really take shape and deliver the impact that they have sought out to do.
So fascinating, by the way. Love the trajectory of all the different tours of duty that you did when it comes to thinking, all right, I want to impact an individual. And then you're like, no, wait, I want to impact more. So then you kind of go at a system level. And as you kind of gradually get bigger and bigger and bigger throughout your entire career path, the problems that were evident early on, are they still evident in the work that you do now? And what are some of the themes of those issues that you and the team are really trying to really hone in on to make better?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and we can take it in a couple different directions. So At the end of the day, we are still partnering with health systems, whether it was health systems and the mindsets of 5 years ago and the economic conditions that they were under then, or the constraints that they were under then. Different conditions, different constraints, but a health system is still a mission focused organization that is serving their community, that has an incredible labor force, an incredible staffing force that is there because they want to do good. They're
Right.
intrinsically there because they wanna help not only patients and providers, but the broader community itself. Um, and with that, there's not a lot of incentive to change. There's a lot of incentive to continue to make sure that patients and providers are cared for, which is not easy.
Right.
That the systems themselves don't break, and that if you introduce something that is net new, that you have evaluated all of the risks. And fortunately, we now live in a wonderful technology enabled society that has only been enhanced by AI. And so that opportunity to adopt solutions and innovations that are available to health systems has increased, but the underlying infrastructure hasn't. And so there's a pull and a push and a tension that exists between what is available and what's necessary, and then also what's needed.
How, because you have multiple health systems that you guys work with, what's the appetite for these health systems to want to collaborate with one another, to the degree that you're able to sort of share? How do those best practices get shared? What are some of the things that you guys do to really not only just exchange and share ideas, but to actually make sure that things get executed?
So a good question. So not every health system is right to collaborate with each other with the other. We use a methodology called purposeful pairing. So we
Okay.
in opportunity look at not only our partners, our health system partners and our affiliated groups, but we also look at just the broader commercial market. And we place them in what we call a financial persona. So each business, each opportunity shows up to a deal with a persona type. They're either a change
Mm,
agent, an innovator, a buyer, or an investor. They could be one, they could be none, or they could be multiple of those persona types. But ultimately, we want to create a balance. So if you're a change agent, you need to partner with an innovator, and you also need on the other side investors and buyers who are going to lean into the solution that you're looking to drive into the market. And we make sure that particularly health systems, their leaders and the organizational departments that it's gonna that innovation is gonna impact are not only aligned in what they're looking to produce, but they understand the role that they're playing. If they're a buyer, we're positioning an organization as a buyer and allowing them to succeed in that role and not asking them to do anything more. Now, in another deal, that
what
buyer
if
could
wait,
also
hold on. What if you sort of label them as a buyer, but they're like, no, wait, we're really innovators. You're like, no, you're actually a buyer. Like, how do you?
Well, we walk them through very, very delicately in some instances, or very bluntly. We have great relationships
Yeah,
with our partners
yeah,
that we will tell them, you are just absolutely not an innovator in this one. The next one we can make you.
yeah.
uh,
Okay.
but no, I think the idea here is take on the role that you play in this particular innovative cycle, in this innovation, in this opportunity, and allow your organization to win at, because you're going to face monumental challenges going through any form of adoption curve. So let's play the role, and then we'll do the gap analysis. We'll understand who else is missing, right? Is it a regional footprint? Is it a scope of expertise? Is it a capability? Is it a resource set? How do we bring those things to the table, either through our close network or the broader, and allow them to fill the gaps? Because ultimately what we want is we want the outcomes. We want the adoption of this innovation. We want to level up. We want the organization to be able to operate and continue to provide the best patient care in their communities. And we want it to be as easy as possible. And what we all know is it's not easy.
It's
So,
never.
so we're just trying to
What
reduce as much friction as we can.
what makes an organization an innovator versus a buyer?
So an organization that's an innovator is willing to put resources and assets in play, support the development of intellectual property. They're willing to be patient also. They're usually your early adopters, those that are first in line to acquire or partner on the development of a solution. They may
Mm,
not have the idea, but they may have subject matter expertise. They may have a footprint within their facility. They may have a patient base, and their leadership is willing to be open and partner with not only ideas, but also with some grace around some hiccups and some roadblocks and things that we may need to come to the table and problem solve around.
mm. How forthcoming are health systems in terms of really admitting what some of their real issues are? Do you feel like it's kind of like admitting that your baby's ugly in a sense? No one wants to admit that their baby's ugly. By the way, no babies are ugly, but you kind of get what I'm saying?
They have ugly stages, is that right? No, I'm just kidding. They it's not about admitting that, they have faults or they have areas that they aren't great at, but it's really
Mm,
about helping them understand where they are great, right? If you have this, we need this. We don't necessarily need this over here. You may not be able to contribute. So let's apply, let's apply the efforts to the things that we can accomplish together. Some health systems are more forthright with what they know they can and can't get accomplished. Others are more aspirational, which we also love working with those as well. But others just generally may not know what they have, and that's okay too. And so even if they don't know, a willingness to want to learn is equally as important and valuable to us, because as they're learning, we're learning, and we're getting to build relationships deeper with their organization.
what do some of those learnings look like? From like an example, just a story, some sort of context around that.
I would say an example of a health system learning. So we had a partner who absolutely wanted to be an innovator, to your point. They wanted
Yeah.
to be the partner in, they wanted to help co-develop. They absolutely knew that they could do this. And fortunately, their operational department, their finance department, everybody was in line with, we want to do this. The challenge came down to the actual deal structure and the legalities, and those pieces weren't able to come together. And so instead of being able to move forward in that role, they actually ended up taking more of a buyer position and an advocate in the market for one of our portfolio companies. Um, so it didn't mean that they couldn't participate. They just recognized that certain type of deal structure wasn't right for them. And
Yeah.
ultimately, they still got to be involved.
How do you dealing with multiple departments, multiple personalities, and as innovators, like you want to move with speed. Like, how do you and the team cope with that? What are some mechanisms that you can share with others that are trying to innovate, trying to do things? But I hear this a lot, and I've experienced it myself, which is like, man, you want things to move faster. What do you do to sort of just cope with that?
Uh, so we all deal with that.
It's
So
aside from like a really stiff drink after like
yeah,
a
I
talk.
was like, it's a good workout. Yeah. No, I think, healthcare has its cadence, right? And
Yeah,
and there is always a place for someone to need to drive the organization, drive the opportunity, drive the risk, like elevate the risk tolerance, like drive people to take chances, to lean in and feel comfortable. I think
is it more
at
of a
the
push or a pull? Because you mentioned push and pull.
I think you do both, because usually you're pushing one and pulling another. And you're constantly working all the strings that you can. And I say strings with knowing that to do something in an innovative environment within a health system or with multiple health systems, you have tentacles in all places, because it doesn't no decision falls on one person, and you've got
Right.
to be able to know the levers that you can pull when you need to, or the ways with which you can navigate an organization to get something done.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk about maybe some of the health eco type companies where the problems that they're focused on, the problems that they're solving. Are there any that you can showcase, highlight to the again to the extent that you're able to? But this is your episode, so you can say what you want.
Oh, thank you. So we just launched a company called Adelon. Adelon is a short form of Access to Access Lab Network, and it was a brainchild of one of our health system partners, born out of the need that was identified in COVID and formed into not only a business model and a business opportunity, but became really the foundation of how we are innovating in the laboratory space.
Mm,
Throughout that entire process, we leveraged not only our ability to convene our health systems, identify strategic themes, and within one theme, dissect business opportunities that we knew our health systems could win in. This one happened to be one we knew we had the right structures, we had the right financial personas, if you will, and we were able to purposely pair early on change agents with innovators, with early adopter buyers, and of course, investors. And along the way, we were able to bring new partners to the table who've added tremendous value to the overall opportunity. But that started as a discussion in December of 2020. We took that discussion and evolved it over the course of a year into what is a strategic theme? What are the health
mm,
systems that want to be involved? How do we start to dissect this opportunity? And in dissecting the opportunity, finishing out what we call our D3 process, which is our de-risking and due diligence process, allowed us to take and bring a business model to life. So we activated our venture studio. We brought in elements of our commercialization accelerator, and ultimately started the development of this platform in fall of 2022. In October of 2023, we commercially launched the platform at Health, and are continuing to accelerate the solution across the market. And what it's doing is building a collaborative partnership amongst health systems in the laboratory space, not only to share resources, capabilities, innovative ideas, different diagnostics that they could use, but we've also created a marketplace where they can buy and sell from each other, supporting the resilience of a post-COVID environment, knowing that ultimately health systems have capacity, they have a capability to reference out or to buy and sell from each other. How do we help them not only do that, but then how do we help them extend that broader compendium into their regional marketplace, making sure that not only providers have access to those diagnostic tests, but patients obviously can get access. And so we're excited. It's been a tremendous collaboration. We've had an incredible team come together to do this, and we're only just beginning. So
it's a really cool success story. I'm curious as to how many of those you've gone to get the one success, right? I mean, because they're not always going to be like going through the de-risking process and those different stages that you mentioned. Because you made it sound it's simple. Obviously, it's not easy, but presumably there's probably lots of others where you've taken it through a process and it ended up getting scrapped. Why do things end up getting sort of scrapped, or things don't get moved forward? What are some of the reasons that come up?
we call those no-goes, and we're either
I
choosing
love
to
the
go forward.
simplicity of it. Purposeful
There we
pairing, no go. Just everything's very simple.
Yeah, so we've done a number of those, right? So our deal flow comes both from within our health systems, their own proprietary solutions, things that they either want to partner on, things that they've developed. We also work with the broader external markets, and then we bring our own net new ideas to the health systems based on research and opportunities that we've identified. Ultimately, the ideas go through a pretty challenging set of criteria, and what we want is our health systems to win. At the end of the day, we win when our health systems win. And so we're not going to pursue a business model that isn't going to leverage the assets of this collective group. And we say no a lot. We say no a lot. And it's not because the idea or the business or the opportunity in and of itself isn't fantastic or even isn't right for the patient. But we're looking at how can we actually take something that exists in some form and be able to bring that not only to the market, but then scale it so that there's the broadest base adoption that's possible. So our no-goes are not a never no, they're just go on the
Not
shelf.
right now.
They're just not right now. Yeah, we'll pull them down when the different things change, like market conditions change, resource constraints change, or we'll usually give a set of recommendations and look to the health system to help us understand, are they going to invest in that set of recommendations? Do they have a means to move forward with that? Or is it just timing? Is market timing? Is it just, not the right time or space? And I use the example, and this is not something that we pursued, but, pre-COVID, any form of virtual care was difficult to adopt at scale. You had
Right.
major competitors in the market. You had what we call pocket darlings that existed in the regions that had success from, their favorite health system partners and the like.
Right.
But ultimately, it was becoming something that was not widely adopted because the patient-provider interaction was difficult. Enter COVID. What do you have? Nothing but virtual care. And that adoption curve went, up. In that scenario, if we had a virtual care D3, we probably would have pulled that off the shelf and said, we're dusting this off, let's do something with it.
Yeah, it's nice to have a bench and going back to stuff because maybe what didn't work 5 years ago could be appropriate today. It's kind of like when you show someone an iPhone back in 1995, someone's like, I'm just not ready for that. I just need to make phone calls. I just need a dumb phone. I don't need a smartphone. But now, especially with the emergence of a lot of this AI, how do you cut through the noise? How do you help clients cut through the noise in terms of there's just a lot of there's a whirlwind around this, and I'm just sort of curious, how do you help them navigate through that?
With information, data, and like helping them see and understand that there's a set of criteria that we're looking for, that
Yeah,
data is going to help us make that decision. We are not afraid to help share what that outcome is, and if it's a no, it's a no, and we've got a set of criteria and rationale as to why. Yeah, it's also an opportunity to really help the organizations understand themselves, understand where they've made investments, where their opportunities are. Do they have the capabilities, and helping them to create a little bit of a roadmap to grow and evolve either internally or
right.
externally.
Hmm. What if we kind of peer into the future, say a year from now, we're looking back, what do you want to have happen, and what would make you feel really satisfied about the progress of where Health Eco is and portfolio companies that you guys work with and even the partners that you work with? What does that look like?
Yeah, it's strengthening the ecosystem. It is helping us to create the right partnerships that are not only mission aligned with HealthEco, but also with our partners, our organizations that we work with as clients and others, and bringing them together to truly understand the problems that exist today, understanding the things that we can win at, and helping to advance those portfolio companies that can come out of that.
Hmm. So maybe just do like a commercial snippet. I mean, how can people follow Health Eco? Where can they follow you, the work that you guys are doing and the team's doing? What's the best way for someone who's tuning into this conversation to do that?
Our website, joinhealtheco.com, is a great place to start, but we're a little bit more active on LinkedIn. You can always find me on LinkedIn. You can find many of my team members on LinkedIn, and then check out our portfolio companies, Madeline specifically, who's very active in the social and event space these days.
Awesome. So for those that have tuned in, if you found this conversation helpful, enlightening, entertaining, would you mind just even sharing it on social media, or even what little golden nugget that Jami dropped? Because she dropped quite a few. I'm going to say my favorite was Purposeful Partners, double P. I really like that a lot. Would you mind sharing that? Would you mind even just engaging? Jami, awesome to finally get you on, and just appreciate the work that you and the team are doing. And as far as trying to just move things forward, it's not easy work. It's hard work. And it's nice to hear little wins along the way. And you guys have had a few, so it's really amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And honestly, it's about time, right?
Sometime better than no time. All right,
Totally.
see you on the next one.